Okay, so we are starting this module 2, corporate restructuring, insolvency and winding up, and it is a topic we are discussing previous year question paper, and now we are at question number 3, that is we need to find out the difference between outbound merger and inbound merger, which one appears more beneficial to the corporate India, means corporate India के according which one is the more beneficial. So we know that outbound merger is one where Indian company has merged with a foreign company, and according to all properties, assets, liabilities and all the employees of the Indian company will be transferred to the foreign company. In an outbound merger or acquisition, a domestic company basically purchases a merge with another company or merges with another company. Now on the other hand, if you talk about inbound merger, that refers to the merging of a foreign entity with a domestic company, such as we know that Tata has acquiring Chorus and Jaguar, and in inbound merger we know that is scores over outbound merger for the region inflow of the foreign direct investment. So in outbound merger, inbound merger that scores over outbound merger for the reasons of the inflow of FDI. Okay, technology, widening the national market to the international level, improved operational standards, improving human relations at global level, that apart from elevation to the prestige globally. So inbound merger is much more beneficial. Now what is the difference between external reconstruction that superiors to internal reconstruction? So we know that internal reconstruction, that the assets are revalued, liabilities are negotiated, and loss suffered are written off by reducing the paid up value of the shares or varying the rights that are attached to different classes of shares. And internal reconstruction, that is considered to be superior to the external reconstruction, since the exercise that is undertaken in internal reconstruction that requires an in-depth analysis and remedy instead of giving up in external reconstruction in the form of merger or acquisition or losing identity. Now in many cases we know that internal reconstruction does not require approvals from the courts or tribunals, that may require conducting meetings of the classes of shareholders and creditors, except in case of the reduction of paid up share capital. So we know that internal reconstruction in the assets are revalued and liabilities are renegotiated. Liabilities are negotiated and losses suffered are written off. So that usually happen in the banks. Internal reconstruction and external reconstruction, as we know that since the exercise taken by the internal reconstruction that requires in-depth analysis, and that remedy that instead of giving up external reconstruction in the form of merger acquisition, it could be a losing identity, so does not require approval from the court. We know internal reconstruction does not require, but external reconstruction may require. Now we need to regulate question, that is suggest the regulations to be referred in respect of combination under the Competition Act. So regulations as per the combination of the Competition Act, we know here that section 6 of the Competition Act that regulates a combination by prohibiting any enterprise or person from entering into the combination which causes or is likely to cause an appreciable adverse effect on competition within the relevant market in India. So section 6 of the Competition Act that requires a combination by prohibiting any person. They are basically prohibiting any person or enterprises that to enter into any combination which may or likely to cause any appreciable adverse effect. So it is an appreciable adverse effect on a chain competition within the relevant market in India. Relevant market, okay, not every market, but within the relevant market to that product. Now that any person who possesses to enter into combination shall give notice to the commission in form of specified, and fees may be determined disclosing the details of the proposed combination. Means here in this case what has happened, that any person who possesses to enter, means if some company or person has want to enter into such combination, they may give notice to the commission, and also the form that needs to be filled, fees also need to be paid, and they have to disclose the details related to such proposed combination. Now any person who wants to enter into combination shall comply with the Competition Commission of India procedures, whatever be the procedures that has been laid down by the Competition Commission of India, that has to be regulated and that has to be comply with. Now, the provision of this combination shall not be applicable to share subscription or financing facility by the public financial institution, foreign financial institutional, any bank or venture fund. So now we have another topic, that is the Pacman defense. We know that Pacman defense is a defensive mechanism used against the hostile takeover. So it is used against the hostile takeover, okay, usually in hostile takeover. So wherein the target firms turns around the table and acquire the firm which has made the hostile bid or has initiated the takeover. ठीक है कि भाई तुम हमको लेने आ रहे हो, हम तुम्हें उल्टा टर्न ऑफ कर देंगे, टर्न टेक ओवर करने के लिए इनिशिएट करेंगे. Now the Pacman defense is a strategy by the promoters of the target company to make the counter offer to existing shareholder that may demoralize the acquirer from the proposal. Okay, now the regulation 26 subsection 2 of the SEBI SAST regulation that prohibit the target company to enter into any agreement, but it is not applicable in India because there is a regulation in SAST that prohibits the target company to enter into any agreement other than ordinary course of business during offer period except the approval of the shareholder through a special resolution by way of postal ballot. Means as per regulation 26 that Pacman defense strategy cannot be performed in India because the target company to enter into any agreement in the ordinary course of business during offer period except the proposal by the approval of the shareholder. Means shareholder has to do this thing, and in this case what is they are doing it is basically the promoters that can use the Pacman defense strategy, but here promoter is not in the picture because shareholder has to do everything. So now hence in India such regulatory body regulations, it is almost impossible to resolve the Pacman defense strategy here. Okay, now if you move to another question, that is okay, there are certain practices that should be kept in India while entering into a cross-border merger. So what are the certain practices that should be kept in mind if we want to move to a cross-border merger? So here we know that the cross-border merger do have a practical difficulty, hence certain practicalities need to be kept in mind. That is, companies involved in cross-border mergers shall answer the regulatory actions, okay, if any, prior to the merger with respect to the non-compliance, contravention, violation as the case may be, any act, rules, regulations that made and thereunder, due diligence of the target firms, a risk benefit that analysis and valuation of the both sides of to the access the compatibility. Now it also has to ensure that the other company is within the prescribed jurisdiction, mostly in case of outbound merger, and also get familiarized with the regulatory and political landscape of the other company cross-border. Okay, due diligence of the target company also need to be considered, risk benefit analysis also need to consider, and prescribed jurisdictional, mostly in case of outbound mergers, also get familiarized with the regulatory and political landscape of that company across the border. Now we have another question, that is a corporate insolvency resolution process that against A Limited was initiated on the application of its financial creditors, but the process was not completed within the time limit specified. Okay, so now before completion of CIIP timeline, committee of the creditors voted for 70% voting shares in favor of the proposal that seeks for extension of period. Okay, 70% voting share is in favor. Now we know that we need only 66%. So resolution, they want extension of time by voting so obtained. So let's go with the answer. That we know section 12 of the insolvency IBC that stipulates the ICIR that must be completed within 180 days of the initiation. So there has to be 180 days of the initiations, and the extreme circumstances, if the CRP is not completed, the resolution professional shall file an application shall file an application on to educate authority for the timeline, and when it is instructed by the COC resolve within 60% voting shares. So here section 2 subsection 3 that provides the receipt of an application of educating authorities certify that the subject matter of the case is such that corporate insolvency resolution papers process can be completed within 180 days. It may by order extend the duration of such process beyond 180 days if such further no period as it think fit. Means who can educating authority can do so after receipt of an application, we know, but not exceeding 90 days, and it should also be a one-time extension, provided that any extension for the period of corporate insolvency resolution process under this section shall not be granted for more than once. Provided further that corporate insolvency resolution process mandatory to be completed within 330 days from the insolvency commencement date, including the extension of the time period of a corporate insolvency resolution process that is granted and time taken in the legal proceedings in relation to such resolution process of the corporate debtor. Okay, now we have another question, that is Lakshmi Bank Limited that acquired 10% of the convertible debentures, 10% of the convertible debenture in Bhaskar Limited in terms of the issue. Now these debentures were converted into equity shares of the Bhaskar Limited. Okay, debentures are converting into equity shares. Now consequently conversion, it became the owner of the 5% equity holding. Okay, for the Lakshmi Bank Limited provide a loan of 10 crores to Bhaskar Limited that become due in 2018. Now Bhaskar Limited become defaulter of the repayment loan, not only the Lakshmi Bank and also some other bank. If we talk about one application, ICID Bank, now the educating authority initiated CIRP and committee of credit is instituted, including Lakshmi Bank Limited. Now CIRP Bank objected on the ground that Lakshmi Bank is a related party that should not have any right of the representation, participating or the voting, and we need to examine this issue. Very interesting question. Now we know that as proviso to the section 21 subsection 2 of the Insolvency and the Bankruptcy Code, the IBC, that is no related party. As first proviso, we know that 21 proviso 2 of the IBC, that's no related party to the corporate debtor, even it's important that no related party of the corporate debtor, even if it is a financial creditor, has any right to participation, representation or voting at the meeting of the COC. Now, however, if we talk about that, however, the second proviso to section 21 subsection 2 that clarifies that restriction does not apply in case of financial creditor is governed by the financial sector regulator. Means the restriction that does not apply in case of financial creditor is governed by the financial sector regulator, is not considered as related party solely on account of conversion or substitution of debt equity or instrument that convertible and equity shares or completion of such transaction as may be prior to the insolvency IBC. It could be a loophole also. It could be a loophole also, because if any conversion has happened, then and restriction that financial creditor is governed by the financial sector regulator. Okay, is not considered as related party solely on account only on that conversion of substituting a debt into equity or instrument convertible into equity or completion of such transaction as may be prior to the IBC. Okay, मतलब during that IBC नहीं होना चाहिए, after the IBC होना चाहिए. Now we have that financial sector regulators is defined as per section 3 sub clause 18 of the IBC that refers to RBI, SEBI. It is important. Financial sector regulator, RBI, SEBI, IRDA, pension fund, PFRD, PFRA, and as maybe other bodies as may be notified. So even the given case, the shares are allotted to Lakshmi Bank was on account of conversion of debt into equity. So being a bank regulated by RBI, Lakshmi Bank cannot be considered as a related party. So the objection raised by the ICID Bank is not tenable here. So if it is not a financial creditor that is regulated by the financial sector regulator, after that if any equity or debt conversion has happening, then it could be termed as related party, but here in this case it cannot be termed as related party. Now if we go to another question, that is Deepak was appointed as IRP by educating authority on 1st July. Okay. So in the respect of the Bengal Limited failed to file returns regarding the tax sector for the financial year quarter first. Okay. Suspended directors argued that they are not managing the affairs of the company since the responsibility of the compliance lies with the IRP. Now we need to offer here, we need to clarify with the intention of the suspended director is justified. I don't think so, because IRP has been appointed in 1st July. So let's go with the question here. Since section 17 of the IBC that lists out the powers of an IRP to do all such act and execute all documents in the name of and to execute documents in the name of corporate debtors for effective discharge of its responsibility. Now if we talk about section 17 subsection 2 clause E of the IBC that specify that IRP is responsible for complying with the requirement under the law for the time being in force of the corporate debtor. So here, however, section 17 subsection 1 clause C that requires the officers and managers of the corporate debtor shall report to the IRP for accessing document and records. Now officers that include directors are suspended in terms of section 17 clause 1b. Now although responsibility lies with the IRP for compliance, yet the suspended directors need to discharge their duties at the instruction of the IRP. Thus in the given case, directors cannot claim that their responsibility and they are duty bound to extend all cooperation to IRP for timely compliances. So here they talk that requires that officers and manager of the corporate debtors shall report to IRP for accessing documents and records. Officers that include directors that are suspended, so that responsibility lies, but yet the suspending directors need to discharge their duties and at the instruction of IRP. Okay, now we have another question, that is Omega Limited. Omega Limited is a securitization and restructuring company in terms of the SARFAESI Act. Securitization and reconstruction of financial assets and enforcement of security interest act 2002. The certificate thus issued was cancelled by the competent authority. However, Omega Limited is holding certain investment of the qualified institutional buyer at the time of cancellation. Now we need to offer the views regarding the authority that cancels the registration and rights of the Omega Limited against such cancellation. Here the topic is that RBI is the authority to cancel the registration granted to an ARC, that is Asset Reconstruction Company. So RBI is an authority to cancel the registration that is granted to Asset Reconstruction Company in terms of section 4 of the SARFAESI Act. Authority to cancel, okay, to cancel the registration that is granted to an ARC in terms of section 4 of the SARFAESI Act. So Omega Limited that can prefer an appeal to the central government within the period of 30 days of the cancellation that is communicated to it. Now the central government shall give such company an opportunity of being heard before disposal of such application, and also if the Asset Reconstruction Company is holding investment for qualified institutional buyers after cancellation of registration, it shall be deemed to be ARC that until it repays the entire investments that is held by it together with interest, if any, now within such period as the RBI may direct. Now we have another question, that is question number 5, and there are 5 questions to be discussed. Now the bank took over the management of the company as per the SARFAESI. Okay, appointed 5 director, consequently removing Suresh, which is an executive director. Now Suresh demanded compensation for the loss of office as he has unpaid salary for last 2 months, and will he be entitled to loss for office of unpaid salary? Yes, because section 16 of the SARFAESI Act this entitles any directors, managers or manager for claiming any compensation. So here is this entitles SARFAESI. This entitles any director, manager or managing from claiming any compensation for the loss of office. Now section 16 subsection 2 of the act, that aforesaid provision does not affect the right of the such person to cover from the business of borrower money recoverable otherwise by way of compensation. Suresh was removed. He can claim his unpaid salary but not compensation for loss of office. Okay, he can claim for the unpaid salary. As well as his unpaid salary. Unpaid salary can be claimed, but compensation for loss of office cannot be claimed. Now here we have another topic, that how could the right of dissenting shareholders to a scheme of merger be resolved? How could the right of dissenting shareholders to a scheme of merger, we can resolve such right of dissenting shareholders? The right of dissenting shareholders can be resolved by resorting to section 235 of the Companies Act. The right of dissenting shareholders, it can be resolved by resorting to section 235 of the Companies Act in the manner provided to Rule 26 of the Companies Compromise Arrangement and Amalgamation Rule 2016. Now, if 9th of the shareholders are agreeable to the merger, now then the acquiring company can, after serving notice, duly acquire the shares of the dissenting group. Now, the dissenting shareholders need to be served on notice in the manner that is prescribed as per Rule 26. And the question is, how could the right of dissenting shareholders to a scheme of merger be resolved? How they can resolve it? The right of dissenting shareholder can be resolved by resorting to the section 235 of the Companies Act in the manner provided Rule 26. Now, if the 9/10, so here the topic is that if the 9/10 of the shareholders after serving notice duly acquire the shares of the dissenting group, now the dissenting shareholders need to be served notice in the manner that is prescribed as per Rule 26. Move to the another, that what are the powers and obligations of a liquidators that regarding unpaid capital, uncalled capital or unpaid capital contribution. So we have a topic here, that Regulation 40 of the IBC, that is Liquidation Process Regulation 2016, that lays down the provisions relating to the liquidator to realize uncalled capital or unpaid capital contribution. Now, according to Regulation 14, that the liquidator shall realize any amount due from any contributory to the corporate debtor. Now, notwithstanding any charge or encumbrances on the uncalled capital of the corporate debtor, the liquidator shall be entitled to call and realize the uncalled capital of the corporate debtor and to collect the arrears, if any, due on calls made to prior to the liquidation, by providing a notice to the contributor to make the payment within 15 days from the receipt of the notice, but shall hold all money so realized subject to the rights if any of the holder of any such charge or encumbrance. Now, no distribution shall be made to contributory unless he makes his contribution to the uncalled or unpaid capital as required in the constitutional document of the corporate debtor. So we have another topic here, that is, are there any ground to appeal against the approval of resolution plan by the adjudicating authority? In terms of grounds of appeal, we need to talk about against the approval resolution plan by the A in terms of IBC. So it is important question, that Regulation 40 okay, we'll start from these two questions in the next. We'll start all these three questions in the next video. Okay. Okay, take care. Thank you.